When alien soldiers learned how humans really train for fun. The Xorathi Empire had fought for centuries. Their soldiers were bred in incubation chambers, trained in discipline from the moment their eyes opened. War was sacred, strategy was ritual, and combat was not only duty but life itself. So when the Galactic Concord asked the Xorathi to review Earth's military practices for possible alliance, the generals expected respect. They expected formality. They expected order. They did not expect humans. Chapter 1. The Inspection. General Korvac strode into the Terran training compound flanked by his honor guard. 8 feet tall, scaled like obsidian, he towered over the human officers who saluted him with crisp precision. "Show me your soldiers," he growled. Colonel Reyes, commander of the base, smiled faintly. "Of course, General. Though I should warn you, our training methods may differ from yours." Korvac's inner crest bristled. Training is training. Discipline is universal. He followed Reyes outside, ready to witness Earth's so-called warriors. What he saw made his mandibles click in disbelief. Chapter 2. The Obstacle Course. Dozens of humans hurled themselves through mud, scaled wooden walls, crawled under barbed wire while explosions echoed from speakers. "Is this punishment?" Korvac demanded. "Why do they writhe in filth like vermin?" Reyes chuckled. "This is the obstacle course. Builds endurance, problem-solving, teamwork." Korvac tilted his head. "But they laugh." Indeed, many soldiers were laughing as they slid face-first through muck. One even whooped when a comrade fell into a pit of cold water. On Xorath, training was silence and precision. No soldier dared show mirth. Here, humans shouted encouragement, hurled insults, and treated the ordeal like a game. "They enjoy this," Korvac muttered. "Of course," Reyes said. "Fun makes it stick." Chapter 3. The Weights. Next, Korvac was led to a chamber where humans strained beneath bars loaded with iron discs. Their faces turned red, muscles quivering, veins bulging. "Are these devices torture instruments?" Korvac asked. "Those are weights," Reyes said. "We use them to build strength." Korvac frowned. "Why not simply fight each other? Hunt prey? This is meaningless suffering." A soldier racked his barbell and grinned. "Leg day, baby." Korvac recoiled. "They celebrate their agony?" Reyes nodded. "The soreness is part of the reward." The general made a low, disbelieving rumble. On Xorath, soldiers trained with live weapons, honing efficiency. But they never chose pain for its own sake. Chapter 4. The Runners. The inspection continued. Humans ran in endless circles around a track, sweat streaming, lungs heaving. Yet instead of collapsing in exhaustion, they challenged each other to sprint faster, to beat personal records. "Pointless," Korvac scoffed. "Why run without destination? Why waste energy when no enemy is near?" Reyes grinned. "Because it makes us better. And because some of us actually enjoy running." One soldier jogged past singing loudly and off-key. Another wore bright neon shoes, bouncing with every stride. Korvac's frills twitched. Madness. Pure madness. Chapter 5. The Simulation. Finally, Reyes led Korvac to the simulation hall. Humans donned strange goggles, holding controllers as they moved in tight squads. Korvac narrowed his eyes. Battle simulation? At last, something sensible. He leaned closer to the display. Virtual terrain sprawled across screens, showing squads exchanging fire. Then he noticed the difference. Why do they yell insults at each other? Why does that one pretend to be a chicken? Reyes chuckled. That's called a video game. They practice strategy while having fun. The insults are tradition. On screen, one human yelled, frag out, before blowing up his own teammate by mistake. Both burst into laughter. Korvac's claws flexed in confusion. On Xorath, Dishna would demand punishment. Here, it was comedy. And yet, he realized, the strategies they practiced were effective. Even amidst chaos, the humans adapted, improvised, and improved. Chapter 6, The Sparring. At last, Reyes brought Korvac to a gymnasium. Humans squared off on padded mats, grappling with one another. They twisted, pinned, and rolled in combat that looked half ritual, half brawl. This is hand-to-hand training, Reyes explained. Korvac's crest lifted with interest. At last, serious combat. But his hope faltered when he heard laughter. Humans wrestled, yes, but between moves they cracked jokes, teased, even congratulated one another after defeat. One sparring pair rolled to the ground, laughing so hard they could barely continue. Korvac stared, stunned. They lose, and yet they laugh. Because losing teaches you something, Reyes said. Every failure makes you stronger. And if you enjoy the process, you don't fear it. Korvac fell silent. That idea, not fearing failure, was alien to him. Chapter 7, The Revelation. That evening, Korvac walked the compound alone. He watched as humans gathered around campfires, telling stories of training. They laughed about bruises, compared scars, mocked their own mistakes. It was chaos. Undisciplined, irreverent, absurd. And yet, it worked. Korvac had seen the metrics. Human soldiers grew faster, stronger, sharper, not despite the laughter, but because of it. For the first time in centuries, he doubted his own culture's methods. The Xorathi bred obedience. The humans bred joy in struggle. Which army, he wondered, would last longer in endless war? The one that feared pain, or the one that laughed through it? Chapter 8, The Demonstration. The next day, Korvac requested to join training. Humans cheered, delighted. They suited him with weights, strapped him into a harness, and pushed him into the mud. At first, rage boiled within him. This was undignified, degrading. But then, he heard a soldier beside him laugh as they both fell face-first into the muck. Another shouted encouragement, "Come on, big guy, you got this." Something inside Korvac shifted. For the first time, he let himself laugh, a deep, booming sound that startled even his own guards. He pushed harder, not from duty, but from exhilaration. By the end, covered in filth and aching in muscles he hadn't used in decades, General Korvac realized something unthinkable. He had enjoyed himself. Chapter 9, The Report. When Korvac returned to Xorath, the High Council demanded his assessment. Are humans weak? They asked. Do their methods lack discipline? Korvac stood tall. No. They are stronger than we imagined. Their training is not punishment. It is joy. They sharpen themselves not with fear, but with laughter. And in battle, such warriors cannot be broken. The council scoffed, but Korvac knew the truth. He had felt it. Humans were dangerous not because of their weapons, but because they could turn suffering into fun, and failure into triumph. Epilogue, The Legacy. Years later, whispers spread of Xorathi units adopting strange Terran customs. Soldiers racing through mud. Squads lifting heavy stones for sport. Generals laughing at training injuries. The traditions spread because they worked. And everywhere in the galaxy, alien soldiers learned the same lesson. When humans said they trained for fun, they weren't joking. And that was what made them terrifying.